Hello everyone, I'm Terry Hartley at Rustic Cards. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. Today I have a free class. It is my monthly Stamps Club, and this month I'm going to show you a sample of my monthly Stamps Club, and I'm going to do this publicly. And normally I have my monthly Stamps Club on a private Facebook group. And this month I offered my monthly Stamps Club, or a sample of my March monthly Stamps Club, free. And some of you took advantage of that, and I hope you've received your card kit in the mail, and maybe you're going to craft along with me tonight. But even if you did not sign up and register for the free monthly Stamps Club, stay along with me. I will show you 3 cards and talk to you a little bit about my Stamps Club, because in my monthly Stamps Club, you do receive a card kit for more than 3 cards. But again, as I said, this is a sample of my monthly card class. And I'm going to turn the camera down and we will start stamping. And as we stamp, I'll talk a little bit more about my monthly Stamps Club so you know how it works and how you can be a part of it in April. The first card we're going to make is a birthday card. And I'm using Waves of Inspiration for my March Stamps Club. And for this card, we're going to be using the wave, the seagulls, and the sentiment, Happy Birthday. But as you can see, it has several sentiments. Our friendship is a thing of beauty. You're so totally awesome. Your strength is an inspiration. And then we also have a pelican sitting on some post. And I will be using the Waves dies. And for those of you that have the kit, go ahead and we're going to, you have a envelope with a photo of this card, and this is our first card that we're going to make. So go ahead and take out your card base, and inside your card base you will have your basic white label that you'll need, the designer series paper, basic white layer for the front of the card, and your card base. And then everyone that signed up for my free monthly Stamps Club and received the card kit, you also received a strip of the rhinestone wave embellishments, the jewels, and you'll be using those for the cards. And I thought you could decide which embellishments you want to add to the cards. So we are going to be using this beautiful designer series paper. The Stamp Set and Dies is an early release for from our new annual catalog that goes live in May. But you can purchase the Stamp Set and Dies right now. And in the description, you'll have that information. You can also, while supplies last, order this beautiful designer series paper that goes along, coordinates with the Waves of Inspiration. There are some foil sheets, which you have silver, Coastal Cabana, a Night of Navy, and you receive 2 full sheets of the foil if you order those. And then, of course, the embellishments. And those are only, you can order those only as supplies last. Before my Stamps Club, you receive in your card kit the items you'll need to make the cards, only you'll need to do the stamping. So we are going to go ahead and adhere our designer series paper to the front of our card. And you can use liquid glue or you can use Stamp and Seal. And one thing about my Stamps Club, if you're not able to watch the video as soon as I post it on our private Facebook group, which is where I normally do, then you can watch it at your leisure when you have time. So I'm going to lay that aside, and I'm going to bring in our basic white. And we'll need our wave. I have the wave stamp on our largest block. And I'm going to bring in Pacific Point. And I find it's easier when you have a large stamp to just go ahead and apply the ink to the stamp. Now I want the wave to be at the bottom of my layer, and there is a little bit of a ridge here, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit. So I might even have part of the wave be off onto my grid paper. Then I'm going to press that down and straight up. And now we are going to add our seagulls. So go ahead and you'll put your stamp, and you'll need your Memento Black ink. And I'll go ahead and ink up. And we will start off with one right there. And right. And let's lay this aside and bring in our sentiment. You have your label. And this is going to be a happy birthday. So we'll go ahead and ink this up in the Memento Black. And then we'll center that on our label. Bring in our card base, and we're going to go ahead and add dimensionals. You can add dimensionals on this layer, or you can just add adhesive, but I'm going to go ahead and pop this up with dimensionals. I've added 5, 1 in each corner and 1 in the middle. Take the backings off. And we'll center that. And also keep it straight. There we go. And then I'm also going to pop up our happy birthday sentiment. Now again, in March, I had Celebration of March because it is my birthday month, and it's also the anniversary when I joined Stampin' Up. So I offered this free sample, a sample of my monthly Stamps Club. So March was my, a sample of my monthly Stamps Club. And since it's a sample, then those of you that registered, each of you received a card kit in the mail for 3 cards, 1 of 3 designs. And this is our first one. But normally, when you participate in my monthly Stamps Club, you will receive a card kit for 6 cards, and you would have a card kit for 2 cards for 3 designs. And then you can go ahead, and for those of you that are stamping along with me, and you have your card kit, let's go ahead and add some embellishments. And you can decide whatever embellishments that you want. I gave you a sample of all of the colors that are in the rhinestone jewels, the waves. And I'm going to put one down here. So here is our first card. And if you do not have your card kit because you did not register, you can still make a card using the Waves of Inspiration or whatever stamp set that you have at home. And again, you would receive a card kit for both of these. You also have an envelope that goes along with this, because with my monthly stamps club, you receive not only the card kit, but also an envelope for each of the 6 cards. For our next card, we're going to be making a card using soft suede and memento black. And that's what I'm going to be using. You'll need the stamp set with the pelican. And our sentiment is going to be, your strength is an inspiration. So for those of you that have the card kit already with you, go ahead and take out your card base, and this is the twine that we'll be using, and then everything is in your card base. This is linen thread. All right. So you have Coastal Cabana layer, DSP, and I'm going to be using this side that has some Coastal Cabana in it for our card. And you have some basic white, another layer of basic white, and you do have a die cut out of the pelican on the post, and I'll show you how we're going to do that if you do not have a die set. So this is our card base. Basic white is our card base. And it's always good just to go ahead and take your bone folder and go over your card base. And then we are going to add the layer of Coastal Cabana. Now I'm going to be using liquid glue. That is kind of my go-to adhesive, but everyone has a preference. So whatever you prefer. And then we're going to lay our card so it opens up like this. And then just go ahead and add your Coastal Cabana layer. And go ahead and press that down. And before we add our designer series paper, we want to pick up the linen thread, and we are going to wrap that around and tie a bow. So we're going to wrap this around our designer series paper. Let's move the card base out of the way. And we're going to make a bow on the left-hand side of our designer series paper. So just wrap that around, and you should have plenty and even some extra. And then just hold that in place. I'm going to bring it over just a little bit. I'm going to hold that in place and tie a bow. And then you'll need your scissors to do a little snipping. And you can work on your bow a little bit. get your bow kind of like you want. And now we're ready to add the Designer Series paper layer to our card base. And again, you can use liquid. If you use liquid on Designer Series paper, you do not want to use very much because the Designer Series paper is a little bit thinner than our cardstock. And then just go ahead and line this up. So Stamp and Seal is also a good adhesive to use on Designer Series paper. Okay, so we're going to lay our card base aside, and we are going to go ahead and bring in our scrap of basic white and our pelican. And actually, in your envelope, you just have one scrap of basic white. So sorry that I confused you with that. I think I put an extra one if I was going to stamp and then die cut it, but we already have our die cut. So you just have a scrap of basic white for your sentiment, and then you have your pelican. So what we're going to do is that we're going to ink up our pelican stamp. And you can do it that way, or you can go ahead and ink it up this way. And then take your die cut and you're going to place it on your stamp. And then press down. And then turn it over and just flick it off. And there you have your pelican. And that is all you need for the soft suede. Just going to move our pelican aside and bring in our Memento Black and our sentiment on that scrap of basic white. We'll go ahead and ink up Your Strength is an Inspiration. And go ahead and stamp this. Not exactly, you don't have to do it in the middle, but you do want to have some space around it because we are going to just, instead of trimming, we're going to be cutting using our fingers. So we're going to be tearing the cardstock. But let's come back to our little pelican. If you want to, and you didn't, this is optional, but I have some Stampin' Blends in Petal Pink. And you can, and you could use any color, wouldn't have to be Petal Pink. But if you wanted to just go ahead and add a little color to the body of your pelican, you can do that. But that is optional. And then we're going to go ahead and take our sentiment, and we're just going to, hold, and then, and notice that I have both of my thumbs are kind of, holding it. And just tear around the sentiment. This just gives it another little look. And then we'll bring in our card base, and I think the linen thread kind of goes with the C, and we're going to go ahead and pop up our sentiment and our pelican with dimensionals. I will use all those dimensionals, but I'm just going to go ahead and bring in a new one for the ease of being on camera rather than having to cut my dimensionals, because you will want to use all of this as still usable on your dimensionals. I am going to bring in a mini, and put that right there on the body. Take off the backings. And we're going to place our sentiment on our card. And then we're going to add a little pelican over on the right-hand side. And then I'm using this beautiful Rhinestone Waves Basic Jewels. And each of you have a strip in your card kit. So go ahead and decide what you want to use. And I'm going to use, I think, it's like the Coastal Cabana. I'm going to put one here. And you can put them wherever you would like. And I'm going to put a different color, I think. And sometimes I like to put one on the sentiment label. So here is our second card of our March Stamps Club. And you would have, for a regular Stamps Club, you would have 2 cards for this design in your card kit. And here is the envelope. And you can most certainly decide to decorate your envelope by stamping a pelican on your envelope. So let's just go ahead and do that, because we don't want to have any naked envelopes, right? So we'll bring that pelican back in, the soft suede, and I think I'm going to pop him up over on the left, so still gives us room to add an address if we're going to mail this card. So here is our second design for our March Stamps Club. Are you ready to make the third card in your card kit? So here is, it's the last one that you have, and it will be the one that has the denim ribbon. And you do have a picture, but I'm going to not show that, and we'll just do this as kind of a surprise for those of you that do not have your card kit with you. So you have your card base, and inside everything that you need. So you have a label, stitched so sweetly, die, designer series paper. For this card, we're also you have a die cut pelican, and don't lose these. You have your seagulls that are die cut. So I'm going to place those right here. You should have 3 of those. Or 4 of those, I believe. So make sure I find my other one. Ah, it's in my envelope. Okay, you should have 4 seagulls. But they are small, so. And we have Night of Navy layer. So the first thing that we're going to do in our card base is Basic White. It's going to open up this way. We are going to add our Night of Navy to our card base. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and take our strip of designer series paper. And there's 2 sides, but I'm going to use the one that has some Night of Navy. And we're going to add this to our card base. And we're going to do this first in case that yours might be just a little bit too long. You can always trim it before you add it to your card base. So I'm going to bring in our silicone craft sheet. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and bring Stampin' Seal Plus. But you can use whatever adhesive that you want. And I'm going to place this to the left, but I want some of the Night of Navy showing on the left-hand side. So I'll place that right here. And when I get it lined up, then just go ahead and press it down. And now we can add our Night of Navy layer to our card base. And I'm going to go back to the liquid glue, which I could have used liquid glue on the Designer Series paper also. But before I do that, I don't think I brought in my bone folder, and it's always a good idea to crease your card base. Now we will go ahead and place our Night of Navy layer on our basic white cardstock and get it lined up and centered. Press that down. And we are now going to add our basic white Stitch So Sweetly die on our card front. So just go ahead and add some adhesive. I'm not popping this layer up because I'm going to pop our pelican. So I'm going to kind of place this so the Designer Series paper shows, and try to have the same amount above and below the Stitch So Sweetly, and also our Night of Navy showing around here. And if you want to bring it over just a little bit more, you can. You just kind of decide how you want to place that. And then go ahead and press down. And now we're ready to do some stamping. We're going to be bringing in our soft suede and my die cut for my pelican. And again, I'm going to ink this up, and then I am going to just lay this right here and press down so the ink will go on this. Now, you can ink this up and then try to line it up, but I find that's a little bit more difficult for me. So what works better for me is to go ahead and ink up our pelican, the soft suede, and then leave the block here, and then take my die cut for the pelican, and then go ahead and just, and I'm going to put my finger right there, and then press so the ink is going on to the cardstock. Turn it over, and then just kind of flick it off. And let's flip it over, and there we go. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment on our label. You should have a die cut label in your packet. And our sentiment that we're going to use is "You're So Totally Awesome." Our denim ribbon, you're probably wondering, what are you going to do with that? And this denim ribbon is in our January to June mini catalog on page 59. And then we'll just stamp "You're So Totally Awesome" and hope we get it straight. And if not, you can always turn it over and do the back. we are going to use for our label, our sentiment rather, "You're so totally awesome." We're going to stamp that on our label. And we're going to ink it up with Memento Black, but we are going to try to stamp our sentiment a little bit more to the right because we are going to have a bow over here. You were wondering what we were going to do with this denim ribbon, correct? The denim ribbon is in the January to June mini catalog on page 59. So go ahead and ink up your sentiment, and we will try to, again, place it over to the right when you a little bit more to the right on your label. You're so totally awesome. Gonna lay that aside. And we are going to bring in our ribbon. You will need some scissors because we are going to wrap this ribbon on our sentiment and also make a bow. So what you're going to do is you're going to place the ribbon so it shows on the right hand side. So just go under like this, and then you go up on this side here, and then we are just going to tuck this under here. So we just need just a little bit. So we're going to clip that so we have enough to just take this ribbon and adhere it to the back of our label. So we're going to add a little bit of glue. You could add a glue dot. And then just hold that just a little bit to take for it to adhere. And it looks like a glue dot or even a dimensional would work, a small dimensional. I think I'm going to bring in that Stampin' Seal Plus, and I'm going to hold the ribbon and then just add some Stampin' Seal, because I know that is really strong and it will hold that ribbon down just fine. But if you don't have any Stampin' Seal Plus, Stampin' Seal should work, or a glue dot, or even a dimensional, just to keep this back here. And then you still have some ribbon left, right? And we are going to make this into a bow. So go ahead and make a bow. And everyone makes their bows a little bit differently. You do what works for you. And you'll want to kind of play with the bow once you have it made. And we will need to do a little snipping. I'm not going to add it yet, but I'm going to put it right here when I get it on my card base. Okay, I'm going to lay that aside. And I want to go ahead and bring in our pelican. And we're going to pop him and add dimensionals to him and add him on our card. And then I want our sentiment to be right here at the bottom. So I want to make sure that I have room for my pelican. And you can tuck him under if you want to a little bit. That is fine. So I'm going to bring in some dimensionals and add a couple on the post back there. I'm going to grab a mini. If you don't have a mini, you could probably do one more regular size dimensional. And I'm going to just put him over on the left-hand side. of our card. And before I add this, I'm going to bring in our little seagulls that are die cut out for you. And my silicone craft sheet. And there is a right and a wrong, so look on both sides because you want to put the glue on the back of the seagulls. So there is there's a smooth side that will be the front of the seagulls. And if you turn them over, you can see that one side's different than the other. So I'm going to line them up right here. I could put some glue and use a sponge and add to the seagulls. If you have a fine tip glue pen, you could do that. If you use this, you have to use it sparingly because if you get any on the outside edges, it will sometimes show or be a little sticky on your card. I don't have any fine tip glue pen from Stampin' Up! Here as I am filming this in Florida. I do back at home in Iowa. So I'm going to use this liquid glue that we do not sell. But I am going to go ahead and add this on the back of our seagulls because this does dry clear and you don't need very much. I should have probably brought that closer to you so you could see. So you don't need very much adhesive, but you do need adhesive. So I think this one, it doesn't look like it has any on there. There we go. And you could bring in some type of tool to pick these up, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it with my fingers because I'm thinking that you may not have that. So you can just add them. And I'm just going to place this right down here so I know where. And I'm going to put the larger. You should have 2 large ones and 2 small ones. Or maybe they're all about the same. I don't know. They're all a little bit different. Or maybe it's 1 large and 1 small. And if you have enough room, you can add 1 right above the seagull, but I don't. So I am going to put 1 right here. And now I'm going to go ahead and add some dimensionals and pop up our sentiment. Normally 3 would be fine on the back of your sentiment. I did add 4. I want to make sure that I catch the cardstock and also some of the ribbon because I want it to stay on my card, right? And then we're going to place this right here at the bottom. And make sure you get it straight. And then we are going to bring in a glue dot and add our bow over here on the left. And I am going to snip the ribbon. And if I decide I want it a little bit smaller, I can still work with this before I add it. So just kind of get the ribbon like you want. And then bring in your glue dot. And I like to add 2 glue dots to a bow. I just think it keeps it on there a little bit more. And then we're going to place that right over on the left-hand side, right on the other ribbon. And I'm going to do a little more snipping. I'm going to do it at an angle. There we go. And bring in your gems that you have left. I think I gave everyone an extra gem. So, you know, there's no reason that you can't put 4. So if you have 4 left, you could add 4. There is no magic that you have to add, an odd number. I know a lot of times we do on our cards. And sometimes even just one gem works on a card, one embellishment. So here is our third design. You're so totally awesome. So let's look at all three cards. And again, we could stamp our pelican. So here's our third card, here's our second card, and here's our first card in our March monthly Stamps Club. If you would like to be a part of my monthly Stamps Club, you would receive 6 cards, a kit to make 6 cards. You would receive a kit to make with supplies to make 6 cards of 3 designs with envelopes. And the cost is $30. And for that $30, you will receive a stamp set along with the card kit to make 6 cards plus a video. So today is my sample of my monthly Stamps Club, so everyone gets an idea of what is included in my monthly Stamps Club. So please, if you would like to be part of my Stamps Club, go ahead and click below in the description, and it'll take you over where you can get more information and register for my April Stamps Club. I hope you've enjoyed my March monthly Stamps Club. Thank you to all of you who subscribed and registered for this month. And if you would like to be a part of April's, in the description you'll find information where you can sign up, and it is month to month. It is not a subscription ongoing. And when you do sign up for a monthly Stamps Club, you do have access to all the prior month's videos for my Stamps Club. Thank you for watching. I'm Terry Hartley at Rustic Barn Cards. Have a great week. If you would like to be part of my April Stamps Club, it's $30 a month. It is not an ongoing subscription, so you sign up just each month. And the stamp set in April that I'm going to use is Daffodil Delight. We will make a Mother's Day card. We will not be making any Easter cards, but you will receive the stamp set and a card kit with supplies for 6 cards plus a video tutorial. And if you would like to be part of this, and today I was showing you what a sample of my Stamps Club, and we made 3 cards today, one of 3 designs. But normally my card kit that you'll receive is 6 cards and 3 designs. You can get more information at rusticbarncards.com.